From humble beginnings as a runner during high school, Bob Otter became a futures industry tale of success. He told John Lothian News about what was lost and what was gained when exchanges went all electronic, as well as the lessons he learned. His career began the way many do, with a local connection.
Classic Board of Trade story. My next door neighbor is a man named Harvey Yannick, who many people would still remember his name. I needed a high school job. We were a big family. I needed money to pay tuition for Loyola Academy. And Harvey said, "I'll get you a job," and he did. So I was a summer runner for the company that run by the man who eventually became his partner, Dick Freimeyer, ran Staley, A.E. Staley Manufacturing Company, a corn and soy processor. And so I was a summer runner. Had no idea what was going on, but it sure was exciting for a kid, sophomore going into junior year of high school. And so the next summer I came back, and in the meantime, Yannick and Freimeyer had founded Iowa Grain. And so I was one of the first employees of Iowa Grain. By the end of my second summer, I was going into senior year of high school. I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And I set my sights on it. I made a plan, how I was going to go to Loyola University and work part-time for Iowa Grain, which I did. And as the company grew, I grew with it. I eventually became the general manager in the mid-'70s for them. At that time, the only way a young person could get their start was to buy a membership. There wasn't any leasing, and there was only one kind of membership. And so when I turned 21, they said, "Well, it's time for you to get a membership." And I didn't have a cent to my name, and they paid the whole $115,000 for the seat and said, "Just pay us back when you can, no interest." And that's the way it was back in those days in the mid-'70s, and I think for many years prior, and some since too. And one of the things that I think makes the Board of Trade a special place. I went into the soybean pit the day after Jimmy Carter was elected president as an assistant broker to Keith Bronstein, the great Keith Bronstein. And through that, I came to know the Stern family, who are great friends to this day. And so my plan always was to be a broker for a short while and then become a big-time trader. And well, guess what? Yannick and Freimeyer and some of those other guys like that, Bronstein, Stern, they made it look a lot easier than it really was. It's like a really good baseball player. Really good ones, they make it look easy. Well, it's not easy for most of us, and so I had a learning curve, but I did learn. I survived. I became a pretty good trader in my own right once I found a style. Switching over to computer-based trading, to me, has a lot of advantages. You can get, especially for somebody with a little longer time horizon, you can get an idea at any time of the day or night and basically put an order in or an open order in, and there it is working for you. It allows you, I think, to be more disciplined too. I mean, if you put a trade on, you can put the stop in right then and there. So I think that helps you be more disciplined. I do have to say, the one thing that the exchange has chosen not to do, which I very strongly disagree with, is the lack of transparency that exists now because of the anonymity of traders. And I think that hurts the market. I guess I understand why they did it. It was a business decision, but I don't think it's good for the markets. I know personally it's not good for me. But that is one big change. Probably to me the biggest change, that you don't know who you're trading opposite of. You don't have you can't make any kind of deduction of what's motivating other traders. And when you can't make that decision, it takes a big component away from at least a trader like me, trading decisions. I guess the other big difference between on floor and off floor is just the fact that you don't have a group of people together to exchange ideas, to exchange information. Yes, electronics work, but there's something pretty important about the human component, and I even see that in our CTA business. I'm involved in marketing, and yes, you can send out an email, but calling somebody up is 10 times more effective than sending that same person an email. So the trading floor environment of exchange of ideas, even the disagreements that can spark a totally new idea, all that kind of stuff, yet it exists in other realms, but it existed in a very special way on the trading floor. The grain markets are more finite in terms of the amount of capital that they can handle and the trading size. And so I think there are people involved in the grain markets that maybe traditionally never had been, and they don't realize that they can't put in a 10,000 lot order. I mean, they can in bonds or some of the other products, but you just can't do that in the grain business, the grain trading world. And in the same manner, once you accumulate a large position and you either want to or have to get out, there's good liquidity, but there's finite liquidity, and it's not the same size or kind of liquidity that you can get from other markets. In some respects, I would say it's better in the electronic world. You certainly have, if you use your common sense, you have some control over it, and in that regard, it is more transparent, despite all the spoofing and all the trickery that goes on sometimes in the electronic markets. But one of the big differences is the human element isn't there. There were many times when I would get a large order as a pit broker and know that there wasn't any liquidity there, or know that the people that provided the liquidity were already set the wrong way and they were just going to put their hands down, and it was going to be a mess. And so there could be human intervention. I many a time would go back to the client or the trading desk manager and say, I can fill this, just know that it's not going to be pretty. And then we could make a decision of how to get the order filled and create the least amount of havoc. So that part's now gone. The human intervention aspect.
What did you learn from your trading floor years that you're using today in your CTA?
Yeah, I can do that. So lessons from the trading floor. And I think this runs across really any business, but it's certainly true of being on the trading floor. If you always think of your clients first, I've always believed, and it was always worked for me very well in my trading floor days, but if you think of your clients first and what's best for your client, everything else takes care of itself. And so that means obviously having integrity. That really should go without saying, and just doing the right thing. Unfortunately, I can remember a lot of times guys on the floor saying, well, I didn't do anything illegal. Well, yeah, they didn't, but they were doing things that were against my morals. And so Chad and I both have a high moral standard, and live by it. So, that's something we learned from the trading floor. The old saying, you can only lose your good name once, and we've both held on to our good names, I'm proud to say. Have been very interested and involved in inner city education for disadvantaged young people. I was on the board of Cristo Rey Jesuit High School back in the early 2000s, and it's a very innovative program. Young people are able to get a college preparatory education at a private school by working 1 day a week. They work 1 day a week. They share jobs with. They share an entry-level job. In fact, the CME employs a team of kids, and so by working that 1 day a week, they earn off, quote unquote, about 70% of their tuition, and so. This idea appealed to me tremendously because it really utilized some of the things that work so well in the trading world. Mentoring, I was certainly mentored by many, it was mostly men, but great men. And that component exists in the Cristo Rey model. Leverage, by working that 1 day a week, kid pays $3,000 a year, or their family, instead of $15,000 a year, and the success rate's been tremendous. Virtually all of our kids, 600 of them now every year, are accepted to college, and the college retention and graduation rate has been great. Many of these young people end up going back to work for the company where they were this sort of part-time worker at. And so that's another component of leverage, because changing that one life now has the potential to change, let's say, 5 in the next generation. So that's really cool, and it's one of my true passions. And there are now, I believe it's 30 Cristo Rey model schools all over the country that all started with this one little school in Pilsen 20 years ago. Before I move on, I need to mention Lee Stern, who has been a great friend through the years, and a very loyal client. And now I clear through him my little stock trading, equity trading account that I have, and I have an office in his suite. One other name I want to mention, Peter Von Eschen.
Mm-hmm.
Peter was a longtime manager at Cargill and a great role model of just how to involve your team. I really admired how Peter was so giving with the people that worked for him. And I was one of his brokers, so I didn't really work for him, but just to watch him manage his people and prepare them for the day when he wasn't going to be there, and let them grow and let them make mistakes. I would just say in general, after we made the decision to start the CTA, and just running into people, a lot of them even, in some regard, competitors who very generous with their time and knowledge, in that regard, I guess it's sort of like the old trading floor where people were always very generous to teach the next generation or the guys coming up or along whatever they could teach them.